Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again, and welcome to The Roads with Bo. Today is March 17th, 2024, and this is episode 30 of The Roads Not Taken, a weekly series where we go through the previous week's events and talk about news that was unreported, underreported, didn't get the coverage it deserved, or I just found it interesting. Okay, so starting off this week, we will go to foreign policy. And it looks like the United States has announced $300 million in aid for Ukraine. The package is expected to include ATACMS, and this is different than the aid package that is currently still in Congress. The U.S.-backed ceasefire resolution at the UN is reportedly finalized. Finally. This is the one we've talked about before where they've been arguing over wording for weeks. It's apparently done. It is still unclear when it would be put forward for a vote, if it will. The White House has commented on Schumer's speech about Netanyahu and said it was a good speech, but has also said that elections were a matter for the Israeli people. U.S. aid to Haiti appears to also be tied up to some degree by Republican dysfunction in the House. Russia is currently having their election. I am sure that Putin won. Moving on to U.S. news, the pro-Trump group that targeted the GOP Assembly Speaker up in Wisconsin for a recall election may have come up short on signatures. Reviews are still ongoing. And there are also allegations of fake signatures. Please keep in mind, one of the reasons for the recall was that they believed that the speaker did not keep, the election process secure. Some of Trump's charges in the Georgia case were dismissed. The Trump world move to disqualify the DA failed, but it did provide them with a delay, which is probably part of the goal. In like news, Trump's first criminal case in New York has been postponed until mid-April. The Massachusetts governor announced tens of thousands of pardons for simple possession of cannabis. Biden issued a statement on Next Benedict. In relevant part, says that every young person deserves to have the fundamental right and freedom to be who they are and feel safe and supported at school and in their communities. Bernie is currently pushing for a 32-hour work week with no loss of pay. In cultural news, to answer one of the questions from last week, what's going to be the next thing that goes woke that always was? Lady Gaga received anti-trans backlash after a social media post. Yes, Lady Gaga has gone woke. Maybe she was just born this way. In science news, a Japanese commercial rocket bound for space exploded shortly after launch. There were no injuries, but it is a setback. Now, this is something I haven't totally checked out yet, but it looks at first glance from the reporting like a gene-edited cow is producing human insulin in its milk. If this is something that, once checked out, turns out to be accurate and can be scaled, this is big news for diabetics. In oddities, and something else that was accused of going woke, West Point was accused of going woke after being accused of changing its motto from duty, honor, and country. The motto, of course, was not changed. It was simply dropped from a mission statement, and the reactions poured in. Moving on to a few questions from you. Let's see what it says here. I've heard you say, Tisha, in previous videos, why just call him the Prime Minister in the most recent? Because the last time I got a whole bunch of questions from Americans asking what that was, so I switched it to Prime Minister, and this time I've got a whole bunch of questions from angry Irish people. I guess next time I will use both. Okay. Idea for the roads. Bo takes a few minutes to review a banned book he's recently read or just address the challenge book list when it comes out. I'd love to read more, and I struggle to find good stuff. No question there, but implied question, will I do that? Yeah, deal. Yeah, I can do that. Explain why even pro-Israel commenters seem worried about Rafah. I think context and scale might be important to understand here. Part of the plan, the at least presumed plan to go into Rafah, involves the evacuation of the civilians. To put this in scale for Americans, Dallas. You're evacuating Dallas. However, you're doing it without any infrastructure because it's gone, so you're doing it on foot. And in theory, somehow separating out the opposition from the civilians. That's their plan. That's the goal that they're trying to accomplish. There are people who are pro-Israel who are concerned about it because it's not an impossible task, but it is an incredibly difficult one that requires a ridiculous amount of precision that is providing a lot of concern for a lot of people. And then, so you're assuming that you have an opposition element in Dallas because that's the population size we're talking about. Separating out the civilians, moving them on foot when they don't trust you either. There's a reason why basically every commentator, everybody who's talking about it is expressing concern about the logistics of doing it, regardless of where they sit on the conflict itself. It is, again, it's not impossible to do something like this, but it does not seem likely that it is going to go well. And it is provoking a lot of worry from people everywhere. It is worth noting that from what I understand, the Biden administration has basically said, we want to see your homework on this one. And I think they have until, they set a deadline of March 24th, maybe, to see it. Like they want details on how this is going to be done. And there's a lot of concern across the board. And the reason is scale. This is a massive undertaking that I don't know anybody who isn't worried about it. What is my governor doing? I'm from South Carolina, or South Dakota. Governor of South Dakota. Oh, the ads? Like you're going to answer me through the camera. The ads, I'm assuming. The governor up there has, there was like a dental office in Texas maybe, and then something else, I think. I have no idea what that's about. From what I understand, somebody's filing suit. It's a weird story that I haven't looked into yet because it's kind of down the priority list. But yeah, it is strange. It seems as though the governor maybe did a couple of ads, and it has caused a bit of controversy. Why does the reporting say senators are slow walking the TikTok ban? I'm glad, but why? Yeah, that's not unexpected. Again, the Senate, more deliberate body. I think Ron Wyden said it best. And he said something to the effect of, when the Senate rushes to legislate on tech and social media, they mess it up. There's a concern. It seems that the Senate is interested in having the ability to do what the TikTok ban is supposed to do, which, keep in mind, the goal of that is not actually to ban TikTok. But they don't want to go too far with it. They have a lot of concerns, and there's a bunch of them on a whole bunch of different levels. I personally do not actually think that this bill will result in a ban of TikTok, but there are a lot of other issues with the legislation as it is. My guess is that there's going to be some pretty major changes to it in the Senate, but we'll have to wait and see. And that looks like it. Okay, so a little more information, a little more context, and having the right information will make all the difference. Y'all have a good day.